Good evening. My name is Tyrone Holmes. I'm the founder and CEO of the MSF Fidelis, located here in the city of Durham, North Carolina. We welcome each and every one of you to our YouTube broadcast, which is called the MSF Trauma Network for Men. It is very important that we bring this information to you. Our organization has been in existence since 2009. We're an organization that specializes in the healing of traumatic events in the life of men and youth. A lot of men have been trained from a very early age not to communicate, and we have a problem in our society where men are taught to be strong, not to talk, and not to cry. But in actuality, we as men, we go through a lot of pain. So from this point on, with our trauma network, we're going to be addressing issues every week, dealing with an issue that we as men go through, but there's no conversation being had about that situation because men are not talking, and society has told us that it's a taboo for men to communicate their feelings. And that is so wrong because we as men need an outlet to express, because 94% of the crimes that happen in our communities are committed by men. So that tells us that we do have a problem. The purpose of MSF, as I said before, is to first bring men and youth together, first to create friendships as well as to establish a brotherhood. But we cannot get to those points of a friendship and brotherhood until we're able to address the communication problem that we as men have. We don't talk about when we're hurting. We don't talk about when we're going through our ups and downs. We always say everything is all right. I got things together. But in actuality, when a man gets pushed up into a corner, the only thing he knows to do is come out fighting and with violence. So that's what we are here for, and that's what the Trauma Network is all about. And we're here hopefully to reach you men, you youth that are watching this broadcast, that can help you to get you out of the situation that you're in, or to come to us and be able to talk about your situation. We're going to have a hotline for you to call. Everything that's being said will be said confidentially, but we feel that it's very, very, very important that we reach out to you today. And from this point on, each week, we will be bringing you a new broadcast dealing with a topic as we as men need to talk about. President Obama just recently initiated a program called My Brother's Keeper, which we as men, we are supposed to be each other's keeper. But our society has shaped us in a way where we only look out for ourselves. And we must learn that we need each other. All of us men are all going through something. All of us are battling with pain. All of us are battling with trauma that we may have experienced when we were very, very young. So those are some of the issues that we're going to be dealing with on this broadcast. Men are not alone. We're all in this together. We need each other, and without each other, we're going to fail each and every time, because we need to have an outlet to talk. Women have an outlet to talk. They have many organizations and many outlets for women to go, support groups where they can go and talk about their problems. We as men, we don't have that, and we do need that. It is very, very, very important. Well, I have two of my brothers that are here with me today. They're going to introduce themselves to you, tell you a little bit about themselves and why they think the Trauma Network is vital to them, and why they think it's very important to them, and why they feel that it can help you men, youth that are out there, mothers, daughters, wives, sisters that have men in your family that you know that you're having problems with, or they may have problems and they're not talking to you, and they're not going to communicate their problems to you because the only thing we as men have is pride. So we're going to let them speak, come to you briefly, tell you a little bit about themselves, what MSF has been to them, and why they think the Trauma Network is important. Brother Dwight.
Hey, thanks, Tyrone. Hey, my name is Dwight Whitaker Jr., and I am a member of the MSF Fidelis since 2012, and I am the current Sergeant at Arms of the MSF Fidelis. I'm in charge of the rules of committee and engaging activities in the community. Now, it's always good to sit here with Tyrone Holmes, the founder and CEO of this fabulous organization, to discuss these issues,
yes,
these critical issues that we face daily, on a daily basis, dealing with man issues. You all can see males commit 94% of all the crimes.
That's right.
Why? The lack of positive male role models. So it's always good to sit in a setting like this to discuss ideas, solutions, also the stereotype that men face. Now, the trauma network is very important for males because males, I could use me as an example. I didn't have a father figure in my life. He didn't sit down and teach me certain things. So that messed me up by I didn't know how to communicate with people. I didn't know how to handle my emotions correctly. I used the wrong things. Like, for instance, joining the gangs, I thought that was the right thing to do because I wanted protection. I wanted that gap to be filled up with love that my father or my mother didn't give. And also, too far as a reputation, I didn't want anybody to mess with me. So the trauma network will bring you to an insight to understanding that you need help. And then they always say the first step to recovery is admitting. But how do you know what to admit if you have not been taught to the things that you need to admit? So the trauma network will bring males to these issues that's going on a daily basis. Doesn't matter if it's drugs, alcoholism, sex, or whatever you do as far as something that affected you in your childhood that you brought into your adulthood or your young adulthood, or you still carrying, still lingering within yourself. So the trauma network will bring you to a better understanding to help you find who you are as a male, to bridge this gap between the father wound or any other wound that you dealt with as a child that you had on to it.
Well, we thank Brother Dwight for that, and those very insightful words, because him being a young man in his 20s and him to be able to relate that to you, men that are watching this broadcast, is very important. It touches my heart that I'm able to touch these young men. Not only we not here to touch the young men, but the older men as well. We all have not had fathers in our life. I know I didn't have a father in my life, and I have suffered from that. And next we're going to have Brother Josh come to tell you a little bit about himself and what he feels MSF has meant to him, as well as the importance of the trauma network to him.
Good evening. My name is Brother Joshua Allen McCarty. I am the Secretary of Soul Care, which means I make all the phone calls to the brothers, make sure they're doing okay, if they need anything. Like Brother Dwight said about the father figure in his life, when I grew up, I didn't have that. I went through many different foster homes and stuff. Many different group homes. At 13, I got in some big trouble, got kicked out of my house. Like Brother Dwight said, I also was in the game because I thought that, you know, they would be there, they'd be your family. But it turns out they're not. Also, I like to thank Brother Tyrone also for being a mentor to me, and I tell him all the time how much this program really means to me, because he actually kept me from going back to the streets, and I really appreciate it. I've been here 3 years, and I come faithfully every Thursday.
Well, we thank Brother Josh and Brother Dwight, and we're going to get into a conversation. We're just going to talk about some issues that are important to men. First of all, we as men, we have to learn how to change the way we communicate. Brother Dwight, how do you feel about that?
Communication these days is key as far as it's job-wise, relationship-wise, anything-wise. Communication determines a person's character or how they carry themselves. You can tell if someone's depressed by the way they communicate. You can tell if someone's happy by the way they communicate. If someone's mad by the way they communicate. So communication is very critical growing up. And when you experience trauma, it decreases or lack your communication skills. You don't know how to express your feelings the way you're supposed to. Say, for instance, a scenario, say you get upset, a situation happens, by you not having that male role model to teach how to communicate, you're going to lash out with all hostile, harsh words, wrongful words, or end up regretting everything that you said instead of using productive words, constructive words to critically handle the situation professionally, or the best way to avoid any situation of negative activity. So communication is very critical for us, especially when it comes to men. Men, we hold a lot of weight when it comes to family, or in the community, or in church, or anything that we do. Men hold a lot of weight, but men, we've been lacking, and it's not enough of us stepping up to be that role model to other people or to other men. So it's that gap, and then it just creates a generational curse of males lacking communication skills of how to talk to their woman, their mother, their father, their job wife, interviews. Just it can go a wide range when it comes to communication.
Powerful words from this young man. Brother Josh, how do you feel about when we talk about we have to change the way we communicate as men? And you being a young man at 22 years old, maybe you have experienced some things before you came to MSS, and maybe some things have changed with you since you've been here. How do you feel about that?
Well, thanks for asking me that, Brother Tyrone. I feel it's a very important need that we really do need to change the way we communicate with each other. Like Brother Dwight said, we act all hostile and stuff like that. But when we don't know how to communicate with each other, we end up going off the deep end. We end up committing suicide. We end up committing murders, joining gangs. But that's not the right way to handle your problems. You need to find that one outlet, because every person has to have an outlet. If you don't have an outlet, say Brother Dwight gets in trouble, and he doesn't have anybody to talk to, what's he going to do? He's going to come out that corner swinging.
Absolutely.
That's the way we were taught as men and boys to come out with violence, because we're not like women. We don't communicate. We don't have that open door.
That's right.
So as far as us men, we really need to change the way we communicate, especially with law enforcement. Because as young men and boys, I was taught to have respect for police officers. But some boys and men that were taught at an early age, they don't know how to communicate with a police officer. Say for instance, Billy over here got arrested, and he was bad-mouthing the officer. That's another charge, because the officer's going to feel disrespected because you don't know how to talk to him. We need to change the way we communicate with each other. It's a must. We have to, because we're going to end up going down digging a very deep hole that we don't know how to get out of unless we communicate with somebody on how to handle that situation.
Absolutely. Very, very, very powerful words from these two young men. And on my part, as men, we have not been taught at a very young age how to communicate. You know, the main things, and it stymies me, and I think when we first started this organization back in 2009, brothers, y'all wasn't here at the time of the inception of MSF, but you have heard me talk so many times about this, is that when we are very young, if there's a young boy in the family, and if there's a young girl in the family, the young girl is told, baby doll, learn how to express your feelings, talk about what's going on with you. It's all right. Let me hear it's all right for you to talk and cry. It's all right. But when that young boy, say as he goes out and he falls, and he comes back in the house crying, what is the first thing that's told that young boy?
Stop crying.
Stop crying.
Man up. Man up.
That's the same thing. You a boy, you're not supposed to cry. You get over it. He falls.
And what that does, it sends a message to that young boy that he is supposed to hold all his emotions together, don't say anything, and if he's hurting, he is not to express those feelings. And if we look at it, the parents are the main cause of why our boys are the way today. Now, it just don't start with y'all. I'm in my 50s now. It started with me when I was younger, but I didn't really have a mother around to, and that really hurts me. We'll get into some trauma issues, if not on this forecast, maybe next forecast, that still hurt me. I didn't really have a father to mentor me, so I had to learn by trial and error. And learning how to communicate, I didn't learn how to communicate, and even to this day, I'm an introvert. I don't talk much, I stay back, I stay closed in. I guess what I did in my lifetime was to shelter myself from all the pain that was going on around me. Losing all my parents and all my family members that I lived with, and being shifted from school to school. I went to 13 different schools before I even graduated high school. So all that things affected me, but I still did not learn how to communicate effectively. And it helped, and you, those that are listening to the broadcast, you got to understand parents, your girlfriends, wives, men, if they have not been taught properly how to communicate, they're not going to be able to communicate with you. Now, perfect example, when that young boy that you told, hold all your feelings in, don't cry, you a man, take care of your business, when he gets into a relationship, when he gets older, the girl that he's in a relationship with, and they're going through problems, and she asks him, well, baby, what's going on? Talk to me. Everything's all right. He can't communicate with that girl because he was not taught how to communicate with that girl. Now,
Can I
girls,
say something on that part?
sure. Give me one. What happens is when that young man gets older, he lacks that communication skill, so he's not going to have a very good relationship with that woman because he don't know how to relate. Yes, all he thinks about is sex, eating, and watching sports. Brother Josh.
I like to comment on that, the relationship part, because as a man, I've been in some relationships where it's gotten violent because I wasn't able to express my feelings. And sometimes as men, well, most of the time as men, not all men, but most men end up abusing their girl. They end up hitting her. They end up like dragging her across the floor or something. Because we as men, we're hurting inside. And we can't explain that to the woman or another man because society has told us, oh yeah, you're a wimp. You're a pussy if you don't understand. But as men, we need to understand that it's okay to communicate with each other. Because if we don't communicate with each other, the jails are going to be full. The prisons are going to be full. The graveyards are going to be full. Because we don't know how to communicate. Communication is a key. Without communication, we are nothing.
That's right. I agree.
I just want to echo a little bit as far as what Tyrone and Josh said. Man, as far as communication, we have to be in tune with our communication level of our emotion intelligence. When we in tune with our own emotion intelligence, we will be able to be in tune with others' emotion intelligence. As far as it doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or a relationship with your mother, your father, your sisters, your brother, or so on and so on. Being in tune with your own emotions and understand who you are and how your emotions work, you will be able to communicate efficiently your emotions of how you feel, then you will be able to relate and receive the other person when they trying to communicate with you of their emotion. I think communication goes both ways as far as it's male. We lack as far as it's communication to or receiving communication from.
Yes.
And that goes as far as the proudness, I think, being proud a little bit. And get in this category of don't want to listen, what I say goes, but we have to be in tune that
Absolutely.
what we say matters, also what other people say matters also as well.
And also, we also use, to go along with Brother Dwight just said, our pride. Like when we feel our pride is hurt, we're back into a corner, and our pride is going to come and get the best of us.
Yes.
So we're going to come out swinging. We're going to do whatever we can to protect our pride, because as pride, that's all we have as a man, and we need to learn to break that down because it's not all about pride.
That's right. Absolutely. Powerful words again. And I'm just so happy that these two brothers, I seen these two brothers when they first came to this organization, and you know, their voices have changed, the way they talk has changed, and I'm just thank God I'm able to impact their lives. It's not always, yes, I've been a minister, but we're not here, even though this is a Christian-based organization, we're not here to hit people over the head with religion. We're here to love the men and the youth that come into this organization and let them know that we're not here to condemn them. We're here to support them. We're here to love them and embrace them from where they're at and not where they came from, because the only way we're going to get healing is to be able to communicate. And first, before we can do that, we must make the atmosphere where they feel comfortable talking and being able to trust in one another. And that's what we try to build. We try to build a camaraderie among these brothers that we can love each other. We can talk to anybody. We can talk to each other about anything. And you know it's true, Brother Dwight and Brother John. Brother John's called me many times about some problems. But what we talk about stays within the brotherhood. It doesn't seek out. And that's why I think, and we're going to move on to one more, we get Brother Josh to say something. That's why I think we have a lot of problems within the church today. Okay? We want men to be saved. We want men to come to church. Our wives want us to come to church. Our girlfriends want us to come to church and be with them. But once we get saved and get into the church, what do we do with the men then? The men are still going through problems. They're still going to their situations. Yes, they're saved, but God put other men here. That's why the scripture says that we are our brother's keeper. We have to learn that, but it's not being taught in the church. So we're not here as a professional group or organization. Yes, I'm certified to deal with these issues as a peer support specialist, But we're here as an organization to bridge the gap between what society says and what the church is not addressing, to bridge the gap so we can bring men back together. And if we can do that, then we can have more effective